2:36 p.m. Her body, lifeless, would float on the surface, visible, if not for the frigid roof which trapped her. 2:34 p.m. She struggled, jerking, punching, screaming with no result. This is the end, she thought. 2:32 p.m. The freezing water put her in shock. Her nerves numbed almost instantly, and panic overwhelmed her existence. 2:31 p.m. She walked along the frozen pond, thinking of him, smiling. Her blonde hair dancing in the sharp wind, red face battling in the relentless snow. She heard a deep, muffled crack, and her world shattered under her feet. A school bus made of human skin comes motoring into the small town of Sin. A school bus made of human skin, no children within, comes full of dark to the town of Sin. In the town of Sin, that's where we've all been, just waiting for the school bus made of human skin. The school bus stops in the town of Sin, and from within, dead bees pour out, followed by Jim. In the town of Sin, a man named Jim comes down the street, naked to the skin. Down the street you can meet a man named Jim, with a hollowed-out head and a sack of sin. In the sack of sin there is a grin. A ghastly head reveals to the town of Sin. The town of Sin is where it will begin, when the people remove their own limbs. And there is Jim with a sack of limbs, outside of your home, in a school bus, waiting for you to get in. "No, please!" I begged with tears in my eyes. "I'm sorry, kid," he sighed, "but there's just not enough supplies. Be safe." With those words hanging in the air, the man with the scruffy beard and the baseball cap rolled up his window the rest of the way and drove off, ignoring my desperate cries. I was alone. I had no food, no guns, nothing. It was me against the undead. My eyes were open in a flash, and I sat up on my cot with my chest heaving and sweat dripping down my forehead. I just had the worst nightmare I could imagine. As if the man who saved me that day would abandon me. He wouldn't, right? The door to the small room I affectionately call a bedroom swung open, and that same nameless man came in with a smile. "Come on, bud, we're gonna take a drive around to look for supplies." I went to the animal shelter a couple weeks ago and adopted a beautiful young golden retriever. He's the smartest dog I've ever met. Within days, he knew sit, stay, and roll over. I even taught him the old trick where you make a gun with your hand and say bang, and he rolls onto his back and plays dead. The problem is, dogs are much better with the hand signals than voice cues. So now, as soon as I make a finger gun, he rolls over onto his back and eagerly looks at me for his treat. I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie in the dark, and my puppy is on the hardwood floor in front of me, chewing on his new toy. He looks up towards me, pauses, then rolls onto his back, his tongue out and begging for a treat. I realize he's looking over my head, beyond the couch. The floor behind me creaks. Never wrong. The voices in my head, that is. They're never wrong. It's true. Never once, for as long as I can remember. I can remember one time in high school, preparing for a test. Don't study, it'll get you a better grade. He's right. He knows best, they said. Foolish I was. I ignored them. I studied long and hard, but completely bombed the test. I told you, we're never wrong. The voices were never wrong. Crossing the street one day. Move now, go forwards, they yelled. I jumped ahead, an out-of-control dump truck spinning rapidly behind me. I hadn't noticed due to headphones. Thank you, I thought to them. The voices were never wrong. Tonight, they say I'll die. I pleaded with them to tell me how to stop it, but the door to my home just creaked open. They're never wrong. I tucked my little girl into bed. "Good night, sweetie. Don't let the bedbugs bite," I said, leaving the room. "Daddy?" "Yes, hon?" "Are there monsters under my bed?" "Of course not," I soothed. "There are no such thing as monsters under your bed." "Okay," she said, smiling, pulling the covers up around her face. "Are the monsters outside?" I sighed. "Unfortunately, yes." "What did they look like?" she asked. "They looked like everyone else, like your mommy and daddy. That's why it's important not to talk to strangers." "Are you a monster, Daddy?" The smile fell away from my face. A stone-cold look I didn't want my daughter to ever see, but I couldn't help it. I began to close the door. I'll see you in the morning.